But yeah.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Stroke Empowerment Sessions. I am so honored to be joined today by a special guest, Anna, all the way from Africa. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. So tell us exactly where you're joining us from.
Um, m- I didn't hear you.
Where are you joining us from today?
Oh, okay. So I'm joining you from Nigeria,
Yeah.
Lagos, Nigeria. Yes.
And tell us a little bit about you, Anna. Who were you
Okay.
before you had a stroke?
Okay, before I had a stroke, well, I was a lawyer. Of course, I'm still a lawyer. I just got called to the bar. Um, I actually was working before the stroke. I was having symptoms. My legs was paining me, like hurting me badly. So before the stroke, I was a lawyer practicing. I'm still a fun person, but I was, I was interesting, still interesting, thank God. But I used to go out for parties, conferences and everything. And that was it. I was fabulous. Still is, but I'm just saying before the stroke. So you can see that nothing really changed. My attitude is still the same. Yeah.
That's awesome that the stroke didn't change your personality, that you can still
Yeah.
express yourself. The essence of who you are still shines through post
Yes.
stroke. And so, what type of stroke did you have?
Okay, so I had ischemic stroke. Yeah.
Do you know what caused your stroke?
Well, I think they couldn't find anything. So I think they just said it was stress.
Mhm.
I was working too much. Mm, yeah, I think stress caused it because my blood pressure was okay, cholesterol was okay, whatever you can think about, it was okay.
Mhm.
So, okay, so I had blood clots before then, DVT, deep thrombosis, no, deep vein thrombosis before the stroke. And I was going to the hospital for that. And the day that they gave me a drug, I think the name is warfarin or something. I'm not a doctor, so I can't really pronounce it.
Mhm.
So that was the day that I fell down and had a stroke. So yeah,
How old were you?
23. I was
23.
23. Yes. And before then, I used to think that stroke was meant for old people. And
Mhm.
yeah, I got it.
And so you've had a stroke at 23. How did you end up in emergency? How did you find out that you had a stroke?
Okay. So that evening, I was getting dressed up for an event for my law firm. It's called Celebrity Basketball. So I was dressing up, I was ready with my bum shorts and t-shirts, ready for whatever. I had my friend coming to pick me up, and as I was dressing up, I just fell. I'm like, okay, what's going on? I can't move, I can't stand up. And my cousin was just like, Anna, Anna, Anna. Okay, then they took me to the hospital. I was still like that. I couldn't move, you know. Then they took me to one hospital. I think the hospital didn't know what was wrong with me. And that hospital gave me the drug. And instead of them to tell me to, check into the hospital for checkup, because I read that when you are taking the drug, you should be on medical checkup. Like admit your medical attention should be high, you know. And they didn't do anything like that. And the nights that I fell, they took me to the hospital and they didn't even know, you know. Then after then, of course, my cousins led me to the next day, and they came back and they were shouting and everything because they didn't know what to do. I was peeing on my body. I was, when I had a stroke, of course I couldn't control my bladder, and they just left me. They just left me in the hospital bed. And the next day, my cousins came to take me to different hospitals. Like most of them thought that I would die, and they didn't want to add another death to their record. So of course they kept on. I think they took me to like 5 hospitals, you know and they took me to the final hospital, and they knew what was wrong. And of course they gave me medical attention and everything. I was unconscious for like 3 days or something. Yeah. And that was it.
3 days, that's such a long time. And all
Yeah,
these
I
different
know.
hospitals. And um, so what symptoms did you have at the time?
Okay, so my legs obviously was paining me. I couldn't I stopped wearing heels at some point, and I always used to feel dizzy, you know. I always feel dizzy, sometimes headaches, you know. I think that was all. Yeah, so I didn't know that it would result to a stroke, because I mean I'm too young. And you know when I had the blood clots in my body, and they were telling me everything that they would do, I would stay in the hospital for like 6 months. They're not sure if I'm better or not. I'm like, whoa, why me? I don't understand. So before the stroke started, and that was it.
And how long did you spend in hospital when you got to that last one and they discovered you'd had a stroke? How long
I
were you in hospital?
I think I spent 21 days.
Hmm.
I think I spent 21 days.
And so after hospital, was there any rehab treatment for you?
Of course. I had a physiotherapy.
Yep.
I had a speech therapy, but it had to go because I'm like, nah, I think I would learn how to talk by myself, you know. Then yeah, they immediately. So when I had a stroke the next day or something, they came to, if physiotherapy resumed on my case, so obviously trying to make me walk, I couldn't. I remember clearly when they took me to the hallway of the hospital, and I couldn't walk more than 3 steps before sitting down. It was hell. It was painful. And I mean, my experience was, the first time was full of pain. There was one time that no, when my nerves started waking up, I couldn't sleep for days. I would cry and cry and cry. I couldn't sleep. I was like, okay, so why is this happening? You know? So yeah.
And so you did a lot of work at home to rehabilitate yourself and find yourself again. Um, did your stroke, because you were a lawyer and so busy
Yes.
prior to your stroke, did you find it like emotionally challenging to go from being so busy prior to your stroke to now having to find yourself again?
Okay, so of course I found it emotionally challenging because I couldn't talk at first. Like, even when I could talk, okay, so I think after 2 years or something, or 3 years, I resumed at work. They let me come back, and obviously they were just paying me when I was out. You know, they let me come back, and I started working, but I couldn't understand anything. I couldn't, everything was so confusing for me, you know, and I couldn't remember anything about law, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I'm like, okay, since this thing is gone, I better find another thing to do. And that's how I started my business. I started being a speaker and everything, because obviously it's like when one thing goes, you must, try as much as possible to learn a new one. So that's it. It was really emotional, and it was annoying. You know, I didn't really have anger issues for a while, for long. I had like anger issues for like maybe like 3 or 4 months or something. No, well, like a year. Sorry, you know. So yeah, so it was. You know how it is to be a lawyer, and you just started. They called me to bar in October, you know. So I was excited. I'm like, wow, I will take over the world, with my wig and gown and everything. And suddenly I just fell and had a stroke. And till now, I really can't remember anything about law. I really can't remember anything that I learned in school. And I spent 7 years in school learning this particular thing. I can't remember. So, but I don't mind. I don't maybe it will come back one day or it will not. But when he comes back, it would find me doing a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 And you just said something so magical. You were saying how you had such an identity yourself. You had prepared your adult life to
Yeah.
become this person, and you were only like 23,
Yes, when I had a
23.
stroke.
And then suddenly it's all taken away from you. And you've done something absolutely incredible, which we're going to share with
Thank you.
everybody now. You've got this foundation. You've started a foundation
Yes.
called My Ability in Disability. Tell us all about that.
Okay, my foundation, it makes me really happy. So it's a stroke foundation, for stroke awareness, to help stroke survivors and their caretakers, because like the whole family, in like when somebody has a stroke, the whole family suffers, emotionally, financially, and everything. Um, so my foundation is to give you support and inspiration and tell you that you can do this, you can do this. So over the years, we've had like conferences or seminars, but this year, I decided to have a fun fair, World Stroke Day Fun Fair. That's the name, and we're having it in Lagos. We intend to use Muri Okunola, Victoria Island, Lagos, and everybody would come and have fun, really have fun, and we'll laugh and dance. There will be after party, but it's a fundraiser event. So when you pay for your tickets, for your gate pass, and your vendor fee, you are donating for the well-being of my community, stroke community. So it's been amazing. I'm having meetings upon meetings, and some people are showing interest, and I'm glad. Some people are donating for the cost. I'm super glad, because I mean, okay, so yeah, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago when something really like exciting happened, like the attention that I was getting. So somebody called and I was excited. and the person called for a meeting. And because the person had is the wife of 3 strokes attack, so it's, you can say, okay, it's okay to have 1 stroke attack, but 3,
Yeah.
I don't understand. So she spoke to me and everything. So I was excited. I told my friend, I told my best friend that I'm so excited that I think that this stroke is the best thing that can that happened to me all my life, because the stroke is a door opener, so I can't imagine meeting somebody like her. I don't know how to put it. She's somebody in this society, Nigerian society. And I was so happy. And my friend said, no, one thing that you have to know is that you were destined to be great. If whether you had a stroke or not, you will still meet these people. I'm like, okay, thank you. So yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible what you're doing and raising awareness and bringing people together and having this fundraiser. And it sounds like so much fun. So how can
Yes,
people
yes,
connect with
yes.
you if somebody's hearing this and they want to be involved, if they in any capacity, if they want to donate to your foundation, if they want to be involved with your foundation, if they want to go to the conference, how can they get in contact with you?
Okay. So my email is maidfoundation@gmail.com. MAID foundation@gmail.com. My Instagram is the_Queen Enna. THE_Queen Enna. Enna is spelled ENA.
Yes.
Yeah. Then my foundation Instagram is Maid Foundation. And yeah, if they want to be involved with it, just reach out to me through my email, maidfoundation@gmail.com. And that's it. I mean, there are so many benefits, if you're a partner or, or a sponsor, you get to have free seminar for stroke awareness. You get to have your brand placed everything that we do, even interviews and everything, so there are a lot of benefits if you partner with us, because stroke is one of the leading causes of death and disability, and it's not spoken enough in Nigeria. And
Oh, I
why
have to
is
say
this?
it's not spoken enough worldwide. Worldwide
Yeah,
and globally, nobody thinks that young people have stroke.
exactly. And just you just go about your day not knowing that you might have a stroke.
Mhm.
It's no longer age related.
Right.
It's like anybody can have a stroke.
Mhm.
So I'm doing this awareness. I'm like, it's like my life depends on it, because
Mhm.
obviously there was a reason why I survived, and this is the reason. And I promised myself that I will go all out of it. Like, I will be serious with it. Even though I don't know how to put it. It's my baby, it's my baby. So if you want to sponsor, if you want to be a partner, I would be so glad. I would be so, so glad, because this will be the first ever fun fair, World Stroke Day fun fair, first ever in Nigeria, so I'm
It
glad,
sounds
I'm happy.
amazing. It sounds amazing.
Yeah,
I love that you're doing this and you're so passionate about it. I know just listening to you, I believe in you. And I know that other people will just want to jump on board and say, how can we help this beautiful lady? She's incredible and she's doing amazing things.
thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank
So tell us, Anna, If you could give advice to, you said something so important earlier. You said it's not just the stroke survivor who is impacted, it's the entire family. So if you could give some advice to families, carers, significant others, what would that be?
Take care of yourself before you take care of anybody else, you know, because I've been having sad stories. The caretaker dies
Mm-hmm.
or they get really sick. So when I had a stroke, so I'm from a polygamous home. My dad had three wives, and my mom was the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And, I didn't grow up with my family. I grew up with my uncle and his children, So I left them at some point and I started living with my mom. And I'm the only child. So when I later left her and went to Lagos, Nigeria, and I had a stroke. They just called her and told her that your daughter had a stroke. And according to what the person close to her said, my mom just stood. You know how, like, what's happening? What's happening? What's really happening? So
Mm-hmm.
she thought that I would die.
Mm-hmm.
The next day she traveled to Lagos, Nigeria, to see me and take care of me. And every day her blood pressure will go high, 190, 18, like 200 and everything. So it was constant. And I was always, because I couldn't talk, but I was always telling her, calm down, I would come out of this.
Mm-hmm.
So when my mom realized that, I think my daughter could come out of this, it was really too late because her body had already shut down and she had chronic kidney disease. And just imagine, one is recovering from stroke, another person is battling for her life, chronic kidney disease. So I had to come back, so like I did a lot. Took her to dialysis. She required dialysis for like um 4 times or 3 times in a week. And dialysis in Nigeria is so expensive. So expensive. So obviously when I look at it, I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? You know? So we lost her in 2018. Imagine, I had a stroke to November 27th. I lost my mom November 21st. So I kind of have a phobia for that month. So I'm like, when it's November, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. I hope
Yes.
nothing happens. Yeah, so she died. So if you are a caretaker, please take care of yourself before you take care of another person. Is very important, and be patient with them. My mom, my mom was patient with me, especially when I had like anger issues. Your mom is the only person that can. Some moms, because I know that some moms are, I, I don't know how to put it, and insane, but the real moms, yeah, they are there for you no matter what you do. So obviously, when I'm having anger issues, shouting at her and everything, she had my time. She still loved me. So the love and care and the patience, like from her and my other family, my uncle and auntie, because I moved to their house before I moved to my mom's house. They were all patient with me. They loved me. And all my friends and family, like everybody loved me. Until now, they say that I'm like an egg. So I'm angry. They want to see that I'm sad. And I keep on inspiring them. So, hey, like, got married in May. And everybody that my husband went to see said, please take care of her. She's like, she's our egg. I'm like, I was laughing. I'm like, wow. So
I love
please,
that. I love that they say my egg. It's like she's precious.
yeah,
Take care of her.
yeah, yeah. So
That's so
please,
true.
yeah. And I'm like, okay, so I know that I'm an egg. So I mean, I made like myself, I would make sure I do not break, you know. So obviously, stroke survivors are going through a lot. Their emotions are up and down. You as a caregiver, be patient. Be patient. They might go into depression, yeah, and we don't want you as a caretaker to go into depression too. It was depression that killed my mom. You know, she was always thinking about me, if I would survive and everything. So yeah, that's all I have to say to them. Be patient, take care of yourself. Always go to the hospital for checkup. It's not just the stroke survivor that will do that. You too. Check your blood pressure, cholesterol and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, such beautiful advice and so necessary advice. Um, Thank you. And you were mentioning before that you had communication issues. Did you have aphasia? Did it take time for you to learn how to speak again?
Yes. I had it. Mine was so bad that I became mute for some months because when I talk, if I could talk, it was when it comes out, it's rubbish, you know? Yeah, like I start with not being able to talk. Then when I can finally talk, I'm saying rubbish and it forms perfectly well in my head, in my mind. It's just the speech, like the ability to bring it out. And at some point I just became mute. Like, I mean, it's not like anybody would understand me, So it got better over time. And you see me, I can talk right now. Although I can't talk really fast, yeah, but I still can I still can talk because if I try to talk fast, everything would be rumpled in my brain and I won't be able to say that thing that I want to say. So yes, I had aphasia. I had like everything that is in books, the side effects.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how long was it after your stroke before you could start to talk without having that issue, the word finding and getting it out?
I think 2 to 3 years or four,
Mhm.
no, maybe 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah. I
about the
started talking
emotional?
gradually.
Yeah. And do you think that really played a part with your emotional, um, with your emotions just after your stroke, not being able to um, talk
Yes.
and communicate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just told you that I became mute because,
Yeah.
hey, if I talk, you wouldn't even understand. Then I had my friends come over. So when I say something, they tend to correct me, but not knowing that, hey, I have it in my brain. It's correct. It's just
Mhm.
me speaking out. So they tend to correct me and everything. But I'm like, I couldn't tell them that, hey, stop correcting me. I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just my words, you know. I just, but I couldn't stop them from coming to see me because obviously I enjoyed their company because I mean, getting sick, getting a stroke, it applies to every other sickness. It's lonely.
Yes.
Like nobody really wants to be with you because you're sick.
Mhm.
So if you have somebody that cares to, come see you, bring some fruits, brings provisions and everything, cherish it, because it's so lonely. Nobody, I recovered by myself.
Yeah.
I like all my manual that I'm giving another stroke survivor. I did it by myself. And thank God that they found me. So now when somebody has a stroke, or somebody another person says, oh, I know somebody that had a stroke and is thriving. So they give them my number, and that's it. And like I did recovery by myself. I didn't have anybody. I didn't have any young person that had a stroke that is battling with me, like battling in the mind. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely relate to you there. I felt very alone and isolated after my stroke. I had nobody to compare to. I had nobody to reach out
Yes.
to, nobody to share it with. I felt like I was the only one, and that there was no other young person in the world who was going through this. So I completely understand what you mean. And I love that you've taken that pain, taken that frustration, taken that experience and created something so amazing with your foundation. It's just your work, Anna, is absolutely beautiful. And I'm so honored to be able to share it. We're going to wrap up in a second, but I just wanted to know, is there anything that you wanted to add or to share with other stroke survivors that we may not have spoken about so far?
Hmm. Be patient.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the first year I was a vegetable. I was like a vegetable, but I was patient and what's the word I'm looking for? So words can come and leave my brain at any moment. So I'm looking for another. I was determined. Be patient, be determined, because I remember for like the first months I could bait myself because I wasn't comfortable with other people baiting me and everything, nurses, my auntie. I'm like, no, stop. I could bait myself. I was determined. I stopped. I was going home in April. Like I had a stroke in November, so I was going home in April. Before April, I used to use like a walking stick, and I had to go home with a flight, and I purposely left my walking stick in Lagos. You know, yes, I'm like, I would do it. I didn't mind if I was walking strangely, and the air hostess, they actually told me that they can bring a wheelchair and wheel me out of the plane. I'm like, no, leave me. I want to do it this by myself. You know, it's the mind. When my mind was like, I can't be like that, like this forever. And it's hastened recovery. So now the only thing that is happening is, my hand, I can move my hand, but not really well. So my right hand, you know, is still having issues. Sometimes I limp, but I don't care anymore. Like, hey, I limp, that's my signature. So yeah. So when you ask me, oh, why are you limping? I get to share. So yes. So be patient, be determined. What again? Love people. I know it will be hard. Sometimes people leave you. My boyfriend at that time left me because he couldn't. I don't blame him, but I mean it is a lot to take in. So be patient with people. Some people act, I don't know how they act, but they don't really mean it. But be patient with them too. Be patient with them too, and really work on your anger issues. If you have, work on it, because when you get angry, nobody would just be with you. No, like, who wants a angry woman or angry man with me, or depressed woman? So maybe you can follow me on Instagram and get some inspiration. I do everything by myself. I wash, I cook, I do everything by myself. That's motivation to, start living right and
Yeah.
eat well, exercise, no matter how awkward you do it, but still exercise. Yeah, I think that's all for now.
And they are just such beautiful words of wisdom to people who have had a stroke. And I love how you just say, be patient. And patience really is the key to stroke recovery. And I will share your links in the comments so that people can find you and connect with you on Instagram and through your foundation. I'm so
Okay.
honored that you have come today and that we've been able to share your story and continue to raise awareness for young stroke and stroke recovery. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.